Yo, what's going on guys? Today I have a very straightforward video. If you're playing this game, you're making mistakes. It's as simple as that. No matter what rank you are, you're making mistakes, and I've seen a noticeable trend in the ranks with what they seem to be struggling with the most. So today I thought we could have a quick breakdown, rank by rank, of the top thing you seem to be struggling with and how to improve it. Before we start with the ranks though, we need to address the mistakes that are being made all the time across the majority of the ranks. Number one here being positioning and rotation. I see players constantly out of position and making things so much harder than it needs to be for themselves and their team. And this one isn't rank reliant. This is happening across the board and is something you really don't start to see going smoothly until you reach champ to grand champ level. A big thing as to why I think this is the case is because it can be hard to train without proper knowledge. The best way to learn more about positioning and rotations is by watching over your replays and having a look at where everyone is on the field and then where you are, trying to see if you should have been in a different position. Another really valuable source is the rotation guide video by Verge, which I'll link in the description. In my opinion, this is the best rotations guide on YouTube at the moment and has really helped me to learn where my own flaws lie within this aspect of the game. Now, another mistake that almost all ranks make is not putting enough time into training their shooting and accuracy. Too many times I've seen people train for the first few ranks and then just assuming it's going to get naturally better with time and not really putting any effort into learning the best ways to shoot. And yes, while it's true that you will get better over time without training, you can get better much faster and not find yourself stuck in a slump every now and then if you just take the time to work through a shooting training drill every now and then. Best way to go about this is find a few of your favorite shooting training packs and just drill them over and over again for a decent amount of time. I'd say if you did about 10 minutes a day, you'd find yourself much better off as you climb the ranks than if you just left it to happen naturally. So with those two covered, let's head into the ranks and cover what I've seen to be the most common mistake at each rank. At bronze, we have not learning the basics. At the bronze rank, you're new to the game. You have so much to learn and it can be very overwhelming. So where better to start than the basics? See, this is what you would think, but I have seen too many players skipping ahead and trying things like wall play and some of the more difficult aerials. In bronze, you don't need to have any advanced knowledge of the game in order to succeed. You don't need to watch high level gameplay and try to replicate the things you see the pros doing, because when it comes down to it, the game that they're playing at is an entirely different state than to what you're playing at. What you need to focus on and what they're focusing on are two very different things. And so, for you bronze players, you just need to dedicate time into playing the game and working through the very basics. Car movement, hitting the ball where you want it to go, using your camera correctly. It's all the small things that you never notice in high level gameplay because it's just built into their muscle memory. The more time you spend in free play learning the fundamentals, the faster it becomes something you don't really think about and just do. Silver is not enough ones. I say this all the time to anyone that asks. If you're wanting to get better at the game, you need to play ones. Now, I started properly grinding ones when I was in silver, and I have to say that it was one of the more challenging aspects of the growing period, but one that has helped me to better my overall gameplay as I've ranked up. Silver players have the tendency to want to avoid ones because it shows their flaws. At the higher ranks, you start to see this as a good thing because it gives you immediate things to work on to improve your gameplay. If you can get into the mindset that it's not about winning and more about finding your mistakes and working on them, then bringing in a lot more 1v1 games to your rank sessions is going to help you improve your overall gameplay immensely. Obviously, there isn't really a good way to train this other than just play a whole lot of ones and don't care about whether you win or lose, just focus on what you can improve on each game. Gold is the lack of ground play. Now, jumping straight off what I just said about silvers, I tend to see players not really working on their ground play and instead trying to focus aerial abilities despite not being really able to attempt that kind of stuff. While it is true that the aerial game is important, I argue that you need to learn to better your shooting and ground control first, as it is going to be one of the more used things in the lower ranks and is the basis of many important skills. So, to do so, yes, play a lot of ones like I just said, but spend a lot of time in free play working on your general accuracy in shooting, your recovery mechanics, and your general movement around the field. Don't worry too much about your aerial game until you get to platinum, just work on basic dribbles and understanding simple flicks and the control of your car on the ground. Moving into platinum, we do talk about aerials, but just the aerial mistakes. Now, when I say I start to prioritize aerial play, I mean the right aerial play. I do not mean flip resets or air dribbles or double touches or ceiling shots, because that kind of stuff just isn't really important at this rank. Focus on your general accuracy in the air, making specific touches that actually help the play instead of just getting a touch for the sake of getting touches. The best way to go about learning this is through aerial training packs. There are a whole lot in the browse section for you to go through, but the more time you dedicate to actually making sure your aerial touches go where you want them to go, and not just hitting the ball because you can, the faster you can get comfortable in the air and start putting pressure on your opponents from both the ground and the air. Diamond is not using your teammates. When it comes to the diamond rank, you want to start opening up your gameplay to purposely using your teammates to give you better scoring opportunities. This doesn't just have to be in the way of passing, but just keeping an eye on where your teammates are at all times and letting them take the ball if they're in a better position. At the diamond level, I still see people playing a solo mindset style of play where their teammate is just there in case they mess up and not as a way to help them make the game easier for both of you. There isn't really a way to train this other than to go in your matches trying to keep this on your mind at all times. Look for times you can pass the ball to a teammate and put them in a better position to score, or allow them to take the ball and begin to reposition around them. This one is a harder one to talk about, but it comes down to time played and understanding the positioning of everyone on the field. Moving into champion, we're going to talk about giving the ball away. I see this all the time. Players who see the ball near them and just have the absolute urge to hit it up the field without any sort of thought as to why they're doing it or how it benefits them, because 90% of the time, it doesn't benefit them. Just hitting the ball away because it's near you stops you from being able to make any sort of dribble play, any sort of team play, and it immediately gives possession back to the opponent, which puts you straight back on the defense. Keeping possession is genuinely one of the most important aspects of the game and is something you should be thinking about every single time you have the ball. If the option is bang the ball down the field or take a touch and look around, you want to be giving yourself that time to try and find the play that puts you in a goal scoring opportunity. The only way to train this is actively thinking about it in game and just getting better with your dribbling so that when the ball comes to you, you have the skills at your disposal to help you out. At the Grand Champ level, if you're not analyzing your replays, you are making a mistake. This is another thing that gets mentioned all the time by many content creators and pro players, but never really get utilized by the general player base. The best way to ensure that you're finding all your mistakes and improving upon them is by looking over your replays, finding games where you lost, and trying to really understand what it was that lost you those games. Look for bad positioning, bad rotations, how you hit the ball, where you could be moving to give your team more options. Essentially, there is always something you can do better, and a lot of the time, the only way to find this out is to go back and really try to figure out what it was you did and what you could have done instead that would have put you in a better position. At the end of the day, Grand Champ is all about consistency. And so trying to get to a point where you can limit your mistakes and figure out where you can improve on even the smallest things is going to massively help you long term. Finally, we have Supersonic Legend, and when I get there myself, I'll let you know. But until then, I am absolutely nowhere near hitting it, so good luck with that, team.